Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my shadowing series, and today I'll be talking about what to expect and how to prepare once you've found a mentor for your shadow. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, so what you're going to do after you found your doctor and you reached out to the program confirming that you can actually shadow, you want to ask your doctor these questions. In this document, we'll have questions to ask before you go in and then once you meet with your doctor. So before you go in, you want to ask what the schedule is. You have to schedule which days work for you guys, and also ask your doctor what things you should review just so you're prepared for it. I know I already said in the previous video to review some things, but sometimes the doctor may want you to review something more specific or like a procedure they specifically do. Like for me, my doctor did TAVRs and caths, so he wanted me to look at those specifically, and he gave me YouTube videos to watch and other public resources. And then also make sure you ask where to meet with them, because you might not be in the same location every single time. In my case, I was at 3 different locations. I had a clinic, I was in the hospital setting, and then also I was in another hospital. And then also before you go in, just come up with general questions you have for them just to show interest. So something along the lines of how they got interested in that specific field of medicine, the path they took, or anything else related to medicine. Here are some general questions I can give you guys. When did you become interested in said profession? What was the path to becoming this profession like? What are some things you really enjoy about it? And then if any of you are shadowing cardiologists, I have some questions I specifically asked my doctor. One was like, if I saw an angiogram, I would ask why we would dye the blood and why the machine couldn't read the blood itself or detect the blood itself. And then after he had me watch the video, I had a few questions. I asked, how do doctors check the valve, that it's in the right place? And I have a few more questions on the Google Docs if you want to go look at it for yourself. And then just a few questions to ask once you meet in person. If you feel comfortable and you feel like it's appropriate, you can ask if you can schedule more dates to shadow on. And you should definitely ask them at the end of the day, not at the very beginning. Also, once you meet in person, ask them where to stand in the room. Sometimes the patient or the doctor might want you to stand in a different part of the room. So for me, one day I kind of shadowed someone on his team for a day, and she is a radiologist, and I got to see all the different graphs that she recorded. So sometimes you will be able to step up and get closer. And then also another thing you should ask is if you should introduce yourself to the patients or if your doctor will. And you should always either introduce yourself or have the doctor introduce you for every single patient you meet, because the patient is probably going to expect the doctor and not expect a student. Another really big thing that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about is to get your doctor's phone number. And you might think, oh, that's kind of weird and unprofessional, but don't get their personal phone number. They probably have a job phone number. And when you get there, you can always text them or call them easily, because if you're relying only on email, it's a lot harder to get to them. So I would suggest getting their phone number, and also in the future, if you ever want to talk to them, it's a lot faster than going through email. You want to do some extra research on your doctor's background. I know I said in the last video that you were supposed to research the doctor a bit and look on PubMed for their published research, but that's kind of like surface area because you're looking for multiple doctors at a time, so you don't have to go super in depth. But for this one, once you've found a doctor, you want to learn a bit more about them. So what you're going to do, you're going to search up your doctor's name, and you can put the hospital's name after just to make it more specific. A lot of the information should be public. So what you're going to search up is the schools they went to for med school and residency, and also places they went for fellowship. After that, you also want to search up vocab terms specific to their specialty. So for me, one of the vocab words I would have searched up is coronary artery disease, and that is a big thing that was really brought up in our everyday conversations, and that really helped me understand and keep up with what he was saying. Okay, now let's say you've done all of that and this is the day before your shadowing day, or 1 to 2 days before your shadowing day. So You want to know what your dress code is and what items to bring. For all the resources I mentioned, you can find it in the Google Doc that I'm linking down below. And I have all the prices with them. So you want to bring some kind of bag, like a tote bag, drawstring bag, or a backpack you already own. Any bag works. You just don't bring anything too small or too big. And then also, you definitely want to get a notebook. They don't have to be super big. You obviously can bring a big one, but it's going to be harder to carry around, put in your pocket, and just write on because you'll be standing there with no table. So this is the notebook I use. It's pretty nice, and it's also linked in the Google document along with other different kinds of notebooks with prices. I also like how there are little things right here to help you track where you are, and there's also a little thing to put your pen in. There is a pen that comes with it. The only downside to this one is that it's not really a spiral notebook, and I personally like spiral notebooks. And also the spine did break on me, but it still kind of works. But this notebook is a bit old, so. You also want to bring black pens, and it's best if you get ballpoint pens. Ballpoint doesn't really smudge or bleed through. You also want sticky notes. Sticky notes are actually so important, and I'm surprised no one's ever talked about this. So these are the sticky notes I use, and I would use them for when I needed extra space, and I would assign myself homework and write it down based on the notes and questions I took that day. And then, obviously, you want to bring a water bottle. Also, bring some easy-to-eat snacks. Next up is your lunch. Bring coffee or an energy drink. If you have long hair, you should bring hair ties because sometimes you'll be asked to put your hair up. Another thing, bring a watch. You probably shouldn't be on your phone that much, and if you want to check the time, you're going to have to wear a watch. Also, any hygiene products that you might need, portable charger if your phone dies out quickly, a wallet. Bring a computer and a computer charger if you have like homework to do or other things. I also use the computer to type out my notes that I took for the day and any answers to the questions I had because I had to search some questions I had up. And then the last thing to bring is your badge. You definitely need this badge because it tells workers and patients that you are a student shadower and you are not just some random person following a doctor around. That's it for the shadowing supply list, but obviously change the list up however you need to. So for dress code, each hospital is going to be different, but just as a general rule of thumb, here are some tips on what to wear. So you want to dress business casual, which means you shouldn't wear jeans or leggings. Wear more formal shirts. You don't have to wear a suit or a blazer, but definitely have like a blouse or a button-up shirt. For my specific hospital, they didn't allow a lot of patterns on the shirts and you had to wear neutral colors. So I did have to go out and buy a few more formal things, but it is still a good investment because in the future you're probably going to be required to wear something similar with those similar restrictions. And then for shoes, they said closed-toed, no slip shoes. And at first I thought I had to wear like dress shoes because I had to be more professional, but honestly you don't have to. You can just wear sneakers. As long as your shoes are more neutral and kind of basic, then you should be fine. In a lot of cases, especially if you're a high school student, you are not permitted to wear scrubs. Most likely because you might be confused with an actual healthcare worker, and sometimes the hospital will provide you with scrubs if you're going into like the OR or somewhere else that requires you to change into other clothing. So for me, that's what they did. I didn't buy any scrubs. They just gave me a set of scrubs for me to wear for that day. And then for like accessories, you want to make sure your nails are cleanly manicured. Also avoid heavy fragrances because some patients may be sensitive to stronger smells and we don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. Just some things about device etiquette and rules. Don't go on your phone, even if you are taking notes, because it can definitely seem disrespectful. It can seem like you're texting someone. Don't use your phone unless it's an emergency or you're on break. You can still keep your phone on you, but just put it in your pocket and put do not disturb on. And if you decide to bring your computer, then you should ask your doctor if you can use it. And you don't have to ask your doctor every day, just ask them on the first day. And if they say yes, just assume that you can do it for the rest of the days and just make sure and be aware that you're using it at the right time. And the last thing I'll be talking about today is mentally preparing for those long days. So not every single day is going to be very heavy, depending on the doctor you're shadowing. Some days were a bit slower. We were just looking at different pictures or different graphs. Some days were just talking to patients, and then some other days were actually in an operating setting. Those ones are definitely one of the most heavy days because they can be very long procedures and you probably will be standing for a very long time. So this is also another reason why I suggest choosing a time to shadow when you have a longer break, like summer break or winter break, and also spreading out your days for shadowing. I was not smart and I did 3 days back to back, and that was very tiring, and especially since I had it right before school. So definitely be more smart about the days you schedule, but obviously if you can't schedule on those days, then that's okay. You know, you're just gonna have to work with it sometimes, and that's something you also learn from this experience. Alright, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and the next video will be about what these shadowing days specifically look like. So I'll see you guys there.